What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for the future based off the charts are showing and based off the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a big day for the markets as PPI is coming out and talk about how this may affect NIO going forward. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. The best part is any could be a free NIO share, a free Tesla share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in a week, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at NIO, this thing was actually a little bit surprising in my opinion. I didn't anticipate that NIO would push up to this like 13.3 level and maybe chop around here. Instead, what happened was NIO pushed a little bit above it, and now we do have a new resistance level to actually watch for, and that's around this 13.4-ish level around there. And overall, NIO is starting to chop around a bit. Now, overall, what I'm also seeing is NIO is getting very tight, and that is the fact that NIO is getting ready for a very, very big move, in my opinion. Now, seeing the way NIO is looking, it's important to note that NIO does have a tendency of being affected by the overall market, as it does tend to be a more of a positive beta stock. If we actually look at NIO and compare it to like SPY, for instance, you could see that there are some similar trends here, but it tends to be a little bit more similar with that of the QQQ. So as you guys can see, there are very similar trends, especially in the very first half of this year. They were almost identical. NIO did diverge a bit, but then as of recent, they are still quite similar. It really shows how the QQQ does ultimately affect how NIO moves. NIO still has been showing a lot more relative strength. It actually was a little bit stronger than what I thought of yesterday. That's still a very, very good sign. We are still seeing nice volume, lots of buying pressure, and things are looking pretty decent overall. The overall volume was actually about 52 million. So once again, it is slowing down a bit, but it is still able to move NIO to the upside. So why is tomorrow going to be so important? The answer is PPI is coming out. This is like CPI except from the producer end. This is going to be so important because it will affect how the market ends up moving going forward. So what I believe is likely to happen is this data will come out and it's going to have a very big effect on the markets. We're either going to make a big move to the upside, a big move to the downside. I really believe that this is actually going to be continuing in this manner as time goes forward. So I believe what is a little bit more likely to happen is when the data comes out tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is 1 hour before the market opens, we are going to likely see a big move. And in my opinion, it could go either way, but I think it's a little bit more likely to cause the market to pump. And I think this because when you look at the data, it's quite clear that we have something that resembles not just like a cup and handle like formation that's getting ready to form, but also when you zoom out, let me actually use the 10 minutes. This is looking like a Wyckoff accumulation schematic. So right here we have the top of this end. The sell-off starts around here. This would be like the initial like massive sell-off from this schematic. So this would be like the sell test in phase B, followed by, a big bounce right here, a big double bottom like formation, push up, starting the big push to the upside, and we could be getting close to the SOS phase, or this could have been it right over here. So just like when we start pushing up, you have the SOS phase, how we start trading kind of sideways before the next push to the upside. This is basically suggesting that we might be getting ready for that big push. Now, I don't know for sure if this will happen. It's not guaranteed. It really depends on the data, but it seems a little bit more likely the market might push up a little bit more from here. Also, if you consider the fact that, like I mentioned yesterday, institutions are buying like crazy at these levels, it's very likely that they want the market to pump a little bit more so that they can actually make more money on those shares that they started to buy. So this is just kind of like theoretical. I'm not promising that this will happen, but looking at the QQQ, very similar setup right here. Notice how institutions were buying down here. We're starting to push up. We're starting to trade sideways in this channel. And we might see a break to the upside during one of these days. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow, but it shouldn't even happen like by next week because of the data that's coming out. I don't know if it's going to be the upside or downside, by the way. I just want to make it clear. I just think it's a little bit more likely for us to see a push to the upside, especially when you look at this pattern right over here. So if that's the case with the QQQ, what does this mean for NIO? NIO has been pretty divergent in a lot of ways. It's not trading the exact same as the markets, but if this thing is continuing to push up, here are the levels you have to watch for. If the market comes down and NIO gets dragged down to $13 or below 13, it is very possible NIO is going to go for the gap fill and come crashing to like the mid $12 zone if this thing breaks below 13. If NIO continues to push up and breaks past 13.5, if we manage to do that, this thing has the potential to push to 14 flat, and if it breaks that, 14.43 could easily come. But first, we have to see how it reacts to this move because we're very close to the center of the $13 range. So, in my opinion, what's a little bit more likely to happen tomorrow would be a big push, a retest of 14, a big rejection, some sideways action from there. And I do believe NIO could close in the higher 13 level. So that's essentially what I'm predicting. However, if NIO does not get a big push, it's always possible for it to come down, like I mentioned. So watch $13 as support just in case. Anyways, guys, that's essentially what I have for this video. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day. We could see a very big shake in the way the market moves. And the reason why PPI is going to be so important as it comes out right before the market opens is it's going to give us a good idea of what inflation is doing. And we know the markets want to see inflation start to go down. It decreases the odds of a very hard landing for the future. It doesn't stop it, but it does decrease the odds. It incentivizes the Fed to be less and less hawkish. So it also makes a 50 basis point rate hike in December more likely. So I want everyone to just be prepared for that. Uh, I'm just gonna watch this. Another thing some people are eyeing is the potential for an inverse head and shoulders like formation. It's a little bit like at a slope, so it is still possible. I mean, you could argue like from this end here, this would be the left shoulder. We're forming like a right shoulder here. Maybe we come down a little bit first and then we continue pushing. Either way, a lot of signs are still pointing in the bullish direction. So that's the reason why I'm still a little bit more bullish than bearish on NIO, where our volume is kind of decent. We are seeing some nice price action. So hopefully the trend continues. Looking at some technical indicators on the daily, I just wanted to note that we are still on this uptrend that's being respected on the MACD. RSI is not oversold. There's still room for NIO to go to the 14s if the market continues to push, which it most definitely can over the near term future. But anyways, guys, like I said before, this is essentially what I have for this video. I want to thank each and every one of you so much for listening. Please have an absolutely fantastic rest of the day. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. I'm still very bullish long-term, and peace out.